Greetings to you viewers from across the globe. You're welcome to the show Viewpoints, where we discover perspectives and embrace dialogue on important topical issues as we share valuable views and opinions in the public space. I'm your host, Odiawa AI. On the show today, we will be talking about the certificate Saga and its effect or impact on the nation Nigeria. Recently, there has been this ongoing feud as regards the authenticity of the certificate obtained by the chief executive from the Chicago State University in the US. Now, this topic of discussion is not just going to be restricted alone to the chief executive and the opposing faction from the presidential candidate by name Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party. It's going to be broadened. And when I mean broadened, I'm talking about relaying it also not just to the federal level at the center, we're also talking about the state government too. Before I go on, the Electoral Act, as recognized by the 1999 Constitution as amended, has stipulated that for one to actually contest for any public office, he should actually be eligible enough or certified enough with the documentation from the WAEC, West African Examination Council. But over the years, in my own view or my own opinion, I don't feel or think that is enough prerequisite for any candidate to run for office. Why? Because over the years, there has been change. And for change to take place, it should be that whoever is running for office must have been actually grounded in certain fields to actually apply the knowledge acquired over the years. Now, it will not be enough to say that you have your WAEC to contest for office. If not, you'll be half-baked for that demanding seat, let me put it that way. Now, the chief executive actually submitted his Chicago State University certification to the electoral body conducting the elections of 2023. And it so happened that it has been contested that the certificate in question was a forged certificate. Now, my question is, this is not the first time a certificate has actually been presented by an aspirant contesting for office as forged or fake. If we go down memory lane, as at the 90s, there was a Toronto scandal which raised its ugly head over a forged certificate of one of the legislators of the 90s. Who claimed to have graduated from an institution of learning in Toronto, Canada. It was found out later on, after due investigations, that actually the certificate was actually fake. Going on, I could mention instances. The recent election petition tribunal, which was concluded as at last month between the APC, the PDP, and the Labour Party. Now, flag bearers of these political parties, the APC, which had Babajide Sanwo-Olu, we had Vivo for Labour Party, and Jendor, as is fondly called, of the People's Democratic Party. Now, both PDP and the Labour Party lost out, and the PDP actually, now we have the APC, the ruling party, taking care of government business in Lagos State. Now, my question is, why must it always be a vindictive approach using certification to actually ascertain who should actually be in office? It has graduated from eliminating contestants. It has graduated from blackmailing contestants. Now, this dimension of blackmail is on a higher scale. Why? Because it has gotten to the center. And now it has gotten to the center, starting from the previous administration, running into the second administration. It has now metamorphosed into public glare, whereby the global scene now is drawn now into Nigeria, that how can the chief executive of a nation actually be attached to such scandal? Now, Atiku now had gone headlong even after the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal to make sure that the chief executive is actually brought to book for forging his way into office, let me put it that way, with a falsified document as a certificate. If we go on social media platforms, we will see that the chief executive is actually trending together with the school in question, Chicago State University. Now, his lawyer or his attorney has actually received these documents by the ordering of the district judge, Moldova, to actually make sure that investigations are actually adhered to. Now, the question is it a case of personal interest here or national interest? Because the last time I checked, the chief executive is the #1 man of the nation representing the country Nigeria. Now, it's going to be a dent on the country's image. It's going to be a stain on the white cloth of the country. As the #1 man being showcased or thrown out in public glare to face such embarrassment. Now, if we recall, I initially started by asking, is it of personal interest whereby this feud is being perpetrated? Because if we go down memory lane, once upon a time, the PDP flag bearer by name Atiku Abubakar was actually a VP, a vice president, under the Obasanjo administration. And at the time, the current chief executive was actually a lead representative, a governor of Lagos State. Now, could it be that this feud had continued from then up until now? Because the last time I checked, Atiku Abubakar decamped from the PDP to the APC. As at the time, it was known as the AC, Action Congress, before it metamorphosed into the APC. He thereon decamped from the AC back to the PDP. Now, it was the era in which politicians were always cross-carpeting. I will put it in my own language, political prostitution. Now, it shouldn't be a case of you cross-carpeting for no just cause or reason. There should be a definite reason why you are actually decamping. Because if you are decamping or cross-carpeting, it means that you are not faithful to the ideology of the party, which every party should have anyway. And once a party doesn't have an ideology, that is where you begin to have incessant cross-carpetings. Now, the Atiku decamping back to the PDP and the chief executive by name Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has been in the party since the AC days up until the APC nows. Feuds now have come up. Why? Because probably there must be some cheap blackmail or secrets, which everyone is wishing or willing by any means necessary to wash dirty linen in public. And now it has gone into the global scale. Now, are they actually serving the interests of themselves or actually serving the interests of the nation, Nigeria? Another question or food for thought which we should wine and dine about is such that, are these leaders we should actually look up to who choose to fight like secondary school boys? Sad enough, in my own view, in my own opinion, these are just certificates or YX certificate holders. The constitution should actually be amended to incorporate that if actually you have to run for office, which in this day and era is a technocratic model, you should actually have some kind of qualifications from the BSc or MSc or PhD level, or whatever means necessary or certification necessary as applied. The constitution ought to be amended so that not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry just comes into the scene and wants to contest for office. Because now, if actually it is true, because we wish not to jump to conclusions, because the Court of Appeal, which is the Supreme Court, has not actually given its verdict, we actually await that decision. Why? Because we are still following the trend. I'm on Dewa AI for Viewpoint, where we discover perspectives and share valuable views and opinions in the public space on topical issues of importance. Join me in the next phase of the show.
Greetings to you viewers from across the globe. You're welcome to the show Viewpoint.
You're welcome back to the show. I'm Odiawa AI for Veegil Media. On the next phase of the show, we will be talking about safeguarding the battered rights of homicide victims. Now, these homicide victims might not be alive to fight back over the injustice meted out to them, not just from those who assassinated them or hacked them down, but also from the criminal justice system that has not actually been able to provide justice for even the family that might be encountering one form or phase of, probably, should I say, stress disorder or PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Why? Because of that feeling of having to deal with the absence of a loved one. Zakari Mohammed, a brother and son of the then assassinated head of states, Muritala Mohammed, was actually remembered 30 years later in 2023 by the family, thereby beckoning on the federal government to actually establish a regulation to make sure that victims of homicide or assassinated victims do not just go like that, but actually they can actually rest in peace, if I may put it in my own language. Because oftentimes, the families in question, once they don't get that justice from the justice system, or even the police, who actually end up frustrating some cases, they end up resorting to all sorts of vices, either jungle justice or a whole lot of unwholesome acts. That's when you hear mysterious murders taking place. Why? Because of probably vengeance. Oftentimes, murders cases are cases whereby are instigated either through political inclinations, religious inclinations, or probably financial factors. Now, when these factors begin to play out, you begin to trace them. And when you're tracing them, you get to find out that people who are involved are actually some elites who are actually, should I call them, the untouchables. And once they begin to be addressed as the untouchables, that is where we now find that the criminal justice system hasn't really been fair. Equity is not delivered to even the common man. I could mention and cite instances and examples apart from Zakari Mohammed. We could mention Dele Giwa, a one-time pronounced columnist of one of the national dailies. He was eliminated with a letter bomb. Why? Because of speaking the truth. It's now a case of, if you don't shut your trap jaw, you're forced to kiss the floor. And it's quite sad, where a case whereby the pen ought to be mightier than the sword is now a farce. The likes of Bola Ige, also a renowned chief, was eliminated too. These are political means also in which he was assassinated. Air Marshal Alex Bade too, politically was gotten rid of on his way back from the farm. Now, oftentimes when these people, I will still continue to cite instances and examples. Now, when people are actually eliminated, it is probably because they have spoken the truth. Oftentimes, that is where diplomacy now comes in. Diplomacy is applied in where you need to be technical and tactical in your approach, so that you don't go stirring up undue strife, thereby sending out assassins upon yourself. The likes of Kudirat Abiola, who was assassinated while her husband was serving a sentence on his way to chasing his mandate rather. She was assassinated, I think, 1996. Why? Because she had to speak for the truth. But she was gruesomely eliminated. We could boil down to the fact that people are actually on the run for a just cause. And in cause of chasing a just cause, they get eliminated. Funshaw Williams is also there, a gubernatorial candidate of Lagos State under the PDP, who was also eliminated in his Dolphin Estate home. We could also mention Dikpo Dino, a one-time AC gubernatorial candidate of Ogun State. He came from Ota. It's quite sad. Then the little 12-year-old student of Dowen College, Sylvester Oromoni, from Delta State. This was just in 2022. All these unresolved cases keep stockpiling, and we begin to ask ourselves, what is the criminal justice system actually doing? Are these homicide victim cases actually being resolved? And the family, how are they being pacified? That's another question. Now, this 12-year-old boy, Sylvester from Delta State, when the boy was assassinated by giving forced to take some substance, which actually started having its effect in his system. The nerves were being ruptured, and the story has it that he was actually playing with some boys, and those boys actually injured him while he was playing soccer or football, as is known in my own part of the world. Last time I checked, I don't remember a football rupturing somebody's system. Now the question is, has justice actually been served? Now, commotion was just not quite far. We should go into the Lekki NSAS massacre. That also is another unresolved case. Till now, the case is being still heard. And these hearings, we keep hearing statements and restatements. We'll go over to the recent Oloba, aka Mobad. The case is still ongoing. And it's our hope that with the recent case now, which has been resolved, of the Lagos-based lawyer who was assassinated by ASP Drambi Vandi. The Lagos-based lawyer, actually by Bolanle Rahim, was pregnant. And this unconscious or uncouth police officer, Vandi, actually eliminated the woman. How long will the injustice continue? I used to hear a song from one of the musicians of back then. You could be walking on the road and then you get picked up, even without committing an offense. You're being charged for wandering, even before you explain yourself. That's part of the injustice we are talking about. And then you're taken for no reason to no place against your wish and gotten rid of. Why? Because of suspicion. I began by mentioning political reasons, financial reasons, or even religious reasons. Now, if we go into the people who have been assassinated based on religious reasons, particularly in the northern region, we could mention Kaduna, we could mention Katsina, we could mention Borno. So many Christians have been assassinated, properties obliterated, and we begin to ask ourselves a sincere and justifiable question. Is the criminal justice system actually functioning? It is our plea, in my own view, in my own opinion, that counselors, lawyers, and those who are in charge of saddling the justice system and steering the ship to make sure that justice is actually delivered, will actually deliver judgment fairly. I'm Odiawa AI for Veegil Media, and we draw the curtain on today's show, Viewpoint. Thanks for watching.